This symposium is really important. It brings together key stakeholders from government, from civil society, media, and most importantly, young people. And it does provide a timely and necessary platform for dialogue. And I really hope that you use this platform here today. And allow me especially to thank Greco for prioritizing the youth factor in digital democracy. This is really, really important. Kenya is one of Africa's most digitally connected nations with an innovative and rather, I'd say, tech-savvy young population. Over 70% of Kenya's population is under 35, a demographic reality that makes youth engagement not only a right, but also a necessity, both in terms of how to build a future for the country, but also how to keep stability, how to make sure that democratic institutions work. Now, in Kenya, digital platforms have also become both arenas of civic engagement, but also battlegrounds of misinformation and disinformation. And allow me to dwell a little bit on this concept, because we're actually talking about a very, very serious global issue. I make a point to talk to young people all over wherever I go. I've been posted in Eastern Europe, I've been posted in Southeast Asia, now I'm here in Africa, and I see very similar things. And I suppose that you've seen also something which many have started calling, and I think BBC coined that term at some stage, around I'll say it quite openly, around the Brexit result of a referendum which led to Britain leaving the European Union, and some other elections which I will not mention here that clearly back in 2016, and I think we're seeing now sort of a take two on that we had entered a post-truth world. A post-truth world. This is quite terrifying. I'm a lot on social media myself, and I have a lot of people from very different generations, very different ages. And I look at TikTok, Instagram, the artist formerly known as Twitter, nowadays known as X. And it's somehow terrifying to see how everything gets condensed to pictures, to short things, to sort of powerful images. And very often these images are very wrong. They have very, very little to do with reality. I have talked to young people in Kenya. I see that social media influencers from Candace Owens, others in the US, are being cited as sort of reliable sources of information. We in Europe have seen a wave of disinformation organized by the Russian Federation, which is to justify an unjustifiable war of aggression. To claim that the West, for instance, had generated a war, going here then again in Africa to tell about the fact that Russia, for instance, is the protector of African countries against colonialism, while at the same time, Russia's war of aggression, for instance, I'll give a few examples, is a colonial war of getting a former colony back. That's a simple. Cross the country, take up borders. You have Russian forces in the Sahel. You have seen now on TikTok a surge of popularity to a leader of a country called Burkina Faso, supported by certain, by those same Russian forces, and all this in sort of anti-colonialist features, while one country at the same time is putting its own forces to take over natural resources. You're going in other places as well, putting narratives which have nothing to do with reality, whether it's some election campaigns against migrants, against inclusion. And the problem is that unless you almost have a PhD in political science and so on, navigating this sort of onslaught of information, which I scroll a lot, but this onslaught of information, unless you really know what you're talking about, it is very easy to get completely into a wrong path and to be instrumentalized by people who wish only to cause chaos and destruction. So digital literacy is something which we really need to take seriously. It is something which is not that straightforward. It is difficult, but it's somewhere where you need to go. This happens in Kenya. I mentioned the Russian example because that's probably the most blatant in the world at this moment. I was doing a journalist training with some Finnish journalists of Somali origin in Mogadishu. It's happened there in order to heighten clan animosity and make state building almost impossible. Very often you think, what's the agenda behind disinformation? Chaos is the agenda, because with chaos, evil, if you want, can strive. Chaos can also help dictatorships thrive, and misinformation can help there. So digital democracy becomes more and more important. False information spreads faster than ever. It empowers youth with the wrong tools and not really knowledge. But if we do use the digital platforms, if we do train media literacy, if we do train digital literacy, we can really empower the youth with tools, knowledge, and networks to critically, objectively assess what they see and hear, and really build democratic resilience and social cohesion. That may lead to change very often. It may be that governments can be even scared about that at times, because it does bring agency. But it does, in the right inclusive sort of method and mechanisms you can get, it can also be a powerful tool of social dialogue, of organizing, of getting away from a negative agenda, which is often there, what we don't want, to a positive agenda, what we want and how we're going to achieve and how we're going to sort of responsibly contribute to a debate. And this is why I'm really proud that we as the Finnish Embassy support CRECO and the initiative Young People Identifying and Verifying Misinformation, Disinformation in Kenya. This project aims at really empowering the youth to take the lead in promoting information integrity across this beautiful country. Now, it's also an example on how partnership between civil society, youth, and donors can create a lasting impact. It doesn't just build skills to know where you are targeted with mis and disinformation, but it builds agency, as I said. And that agency is the strength, is really what is essential for evolutive change in society, for the voices of young people to be heard. Young people can become truth champions in their communities. They can promote fact-based dialogue and challenging narratives that seek to divide and mislead, and move to narratives which seek to build constructive solutions to the challenges we have ahead. Now, I know that there have been essays written by university students. I have to say I'm inspired by the passion and ingenuity of young people, of their thinking. Your ideas and actions are critical in shaping a future where information empowers rather than divides, and where information is information and not disinformation. Your creativity, speed, and connectedness make you uniquely placed to counter false narratives, create credible contact, and drive peer-to-peer civic education. Now, as the Republic of Finland, we remain committed to supporting initiatives that promote digital literacy, civic engagement, and the safeguarding of digital rights. And allow me once again to commend Greco for your innovative and inclusive approach to this pressing global challenge. And to the youth, your digital activism, creativity, and peer-to-peer civic education will make a difference. Your voices are not just relevant, they're essential. Keep on doing. And to the stakeholders, let's work together to build a digital democracy that is inclusive, informed, and resilient. Now, in conclusion, let me just put a little bit of an advertisement break, and this is not disinformation, it's really information. We have our first ever state visit of a Finnish president coming here on Monday to Wednesday. On Tuesday morning, there will be a public lecture at the University of Nairobi. I don't know if there are seats available still. It's been very popular. My president will speak about the global challenges, the geopolitical challenges, the challenges to the global multilateral system. And he's been prime minister, he's been foreign minister, he's been minister for foreign trade, but he's also been a professor and was a professor before he was elected. He's a really good speaker and he's a really good thinker. So in order to a little bit also, how should I say, get a glimpse of where we see this world going, if you can't be present, I would really recommend that do tune in. This is live streamed, and it's going to be really worthwhile in understanding the challenges and hearing a rather mixed political and academic view about what is happening. So, I wish you a very fruitful and engaging dialogue today. Asante sana.